Do you have some favorite camp cooking items? Hi, everybody. I'm Rob, and this is Storm Crew Overland. We talk about going on adventures, road tripping, camping, and just generally getting out and enjoying life. On this week's episode, we're going to go over my top 5 camp cooking, camp kitchen items, things like that. So let's get to it. Okay, so for the first thing on my top 5 list of camping item or camp cooking items, it's going to be this little guy right here. What this is, it's a spoon and fork set, a folding spoon and fork set from Brunton, and I think this actual one is discontinued, but we'll get into that in a second. So it comes in a nice little orange case, easy to find. But what's really nice is you have an actual spoon, an actual fork. They fold up. It's got a little slider bar to lock them open, and then it's almost like a full-size spoon or fork. The handle's slightly shorter than a normal one you'd have at home, but it's pretty darn close. And they're made out of titanium, so they don't weigh anything. These are nothing. They almost float. For me, I really enjoy having my own set, fork and spoon, thing to use at camp. These are mine. It's my responsibility to keep up with these. It's my responsibility to clean these. This is what I've chosen to take out with me to eat all my meals when I go camping. With that, my wife has a set. My kid has a set. They don't have one of these sets. They have what they've picked. And just as a example, I hate using a spork because when I go camping, a lot of times I want to make a steak, like a lot of us, and trying to cut a steak and eat a steak with a spork, it's just frustrating. I don't enjoy it. I'd much rather have an actual fork to use. Whereas my kid never uses sporks for anything outside of camping, so she thinks it's so cool to take a spork. Just to have, she's got her own little titanium spork that's hers. It's the color she picked out. It's the thing she picked out, and it makes it easier for her to. She's more responsible. She keeps up with it. She cleans it. She washes it. All that. Puts it back where it goes to make sure we have it. Um, and the same thing with my wife. Basically, we went to, I think, REI, and I was like, here are your options. Pick what you want to have for your thing. And she picked hers. And the other really nice thing about these, I've gotten to the point that I keep this little set in my bag that I take to work every day because I also hate eating leftovers with plastic spoons and plastic forks because they break, and then you throw them away when you're done, whether they break or not. But they're probably going to break on you, and then you throw them away, and then it's more trash. And something like this keeps you from using plasticware at camp as well. Just makes less trash. Get something nice. These stuff like this is cheap. I think my kid's titanium spork was $5. This set might have been 15, and I bought it probably 10 years ago. And it's a fork and a spoon. They're not going to wear out. All right, so that was number 1 on my top 5 list of camp cooking items that I really like. Okay, so for the first item, we went over my eating ware, my cutlery for when I'm camping. Kind of follow on that. My number 2 is going to be my favorite camp cooking, camp eating, just kind of general camp knife. And this is this little Opinel knife. This is an Opinel number 8. I love this little knife. One, they're incredibly sharp. It's got an awesome folding mechanism. It won't open. You can lock it closed. You turn the little thing on top. You open the knife. Then you can turn and lock it closed. And at this point, it's locked open. Won't close on you. Real firm, steady lock up. It's not going to come undone. And it's about the size of a normal steak knife you might have at home. And these things are cheap. And they're awesome because they sharpen real easy. They stay pretty sharp. They come really sharp. And if I don't take anything else, I can prep my whole meal, cutting wise with this. And this is also the perfect size to eat a steak with. I kind of mentioned I like eating steaks at camp. That's why I like having an actual fork. Well, you're going to be cutting steak up. You also need a knife. Now, if I'm making something a little more involved, if I'm going to be out for several days or I plan on making a bigger meal, I'll probably take some other, kind of kitchen-y knives to like chop stuff with and, prep stuff up with. But if all I have is this, it's okay. It's not the greatest chopper in the world, but it'll work. It's not a full-size chef knife, but if that's what I need to do with it, it'll work. And it's tiny, it's easy to clean, it's easy to take care of, and it's just a nice, neat knife. Fits in your hand good. It looks neat. It's something, just something different, and it just makes camp cooking and eating at camp that much more fun. Okay, for number 3 on my list, this is something that caught me completely off guard. Yeah, a while back, my wife really wanted to go to the Container Store, and I don't, not a particularly big fan of the Container Store, but we went. Good husband, trying to go do things with the wife, make her happy, and I found this, and it's nothing incredibly fancy, but man, has it been really handy. First off, it's a bowl. Um, it's a bit bigger than a normal like cereal bowl, but not too big. It's not too big. It's a great size. Um, and it's just what's neat though is one, I don't know what on earth. It's some kind of weird plastic. I don't know what it's made out of, but things with like tomato sauce don't stain the inside. It wipes right out. I eat a lot of stuff with tomato sauce, whether it's pasta or Mexican dishes or stuff like that, and none of them stain the inside of the bowl. You can see it's pretty white, which to me blows me away. All of our Tupperware in the house is stained, kind of that weird orangish red from different foods. The other thing that makes this really stand out, though, uh, is this lid. It's a nice wooden lid. I think it's bamboo, but I don't know if you can see that. It's got a rubber gasket around the outside. So when you put this on here, it actually seals closed. Seals closed. Sorry about that. Um, so it is great. This lets this be more than multiple things. One, if you need a bowl to use like as a mixing bowl at camp, like say I want to make some biscuits in the morning or something, I can mix stuff up in here, make pancake batter, or anything like that. Uh, I can eat out of this, which is awesome as well because I mean it's a bowl. Also, it works really good for leftovers at camp. If you've got some leftovers, throw them in here, put the lid on. It's sealed. It's not going to go bad. You can put it in the fridge. Now, the lid doesn't like, it's just kind of a pressure fit with that little rubber gasket. If you sit there and if you have food in it and hold it upside down and shake it, the lid's going to fall off. So be careful how you pack it in your fridge if there's food in it. Uh, but it works really good. It's almost like Tupperware. Um, and then finally, with the lid and it being wooden, um, I've actually used this as a plate more than once. I've also used it as a little mini cutting board when I needed to. With it, I mean, it's just wood. It's a big wooden circle, or a little wooden circle. So it makes a decent cutting board, makes a good plate. So this works out really well because it's just got so many uses, whether it's prepping food, eating food, storing food, chopping food. And kind of like my fork and knife, my fork and spoon combo I showed you, this is my preferred thing to take leftovers to work in too, because it just works really good and lets me get more use out of my camping stuff. Never thought I would find overland stuff in the Container Store. I bet no one makes the best overland items you can find at the Container Store video. If you do, you called my bluff and I'll buy you a beer. Okay, so now we're going to move into item number 4, my top 5 camp cooking things. And this is where we really get into the cooking part. Number 4 and 5 are going to be a lot more conventional, probably things you would expect. But number 4 is my old Coleman oven. I love this thing. I was kind of skeptical when I got it. They're like $40. When I got it, they were kind of hard to find. I actually ordered it from Bed Bath & Beyond's webpage. But they had it. It was free shipping, and no one else had them in stock at the time. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. Even then, I was like, I don't know how well this is going to work as an oven. It's just a thin aluminum box. It works pretty good. It takes there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. It's got a racking inside that you can put at different levels. I pretty much always put it at the absolute highest level just to kind of keep the bottom of the food from burning. If I'm making something like biscuits, I might even watch them and maybe flip them halfway through to keep the bottom from getting burned. You've got to kind of play with the temperature control a little bit when you have it on a stove, trying to find that sweet spot. But overall, being able to have something like fresh biscuits in the morning at camp is amazing. I mean, yeah, you can always have pancakes or oatmeal or something, but I like bread things like biscuits. Man, it's nice. And I've been experimenting a little bit more, trying to branch out and not just make biscuits in it. That's the main thing I do. I'm not a big like dessert person. I like dessert, don't get me wrong, but I probably will just take like a package of something. I'm not real worried about cooking dessert at camp, so I don't make like cookies or cinnamon rolls or anything here. But I have done like a baked pasta. It was like some ziti noodles with some tomato sauce and cheese, kind of almost like a poor man's lasagna without actually like layering stuff, all that. Put it in here, baked it, melted the cheese on top, and it was amazing. My next thing I really want to try in here is enchiladas. Having fresh, hot enchiladas at camp would be so cool, but I haven't found a pan that fits quite right in here that will fit in here because it's kind of a weird smaller shape, so you need a kind of smaller pan. But I need one with tall enough edges to put the enchiladas in, and I just haven't found the perfect pan yet. Once I do, enchiladas at camp. Okay, so the number five on my camp cooking items. I guess as an overlander, I should have made this number one because this is the whole crazy overland cooking thing. But really, really like this Tembo Tuscano. Initially, when I first heard about it, I was like, man, that is so cool, but it's way too expensive. And then, as I kind of kept looking into it, I was like, oh, it's just a fad. My camp oven's got half of it's a griddle anyway, so I can do kind of the same thing. Or then I started seeing a lot of people getting the little camping mini Blackstone type things. Like, oh, maybe I'll do something like that. And I ran across somebody selling this for a pretty good deal. Uh, for a price I was willing to pay for it, and it was cheap enough. And I was like, well, I'll try it. If nothing else, I can probably sell it for the same price that I'm paying him for it. And I kind of fell in love with it. It sounds weird. I don't feel like I don't want to be that overlander that's like, oh, get a scuttle. But I do really like it. I've made a couple things on it. It's kind of like the oven. There's a little bit of a learning curve. I'm sure if you've watched any video on scuttles before, you've heard this. The middle gets real hot, but the outside edge really doesn't. It's just barely warm, so really won't cook much, but it'll keep your stuff warm. But it works really good for most of the things I like to make. I like to make a lot of Mexican food. This works really good because you can make your main part of your dish here in the middle and you have your tortillas on the outside. I like warmed up tortillas. So that works great. It works really good for breakfast food. You bake bacon and then pull the bacon up the side. And then you can make some hash browns in the bacon grease, which, oh, that's so good. And then when those are done, you pull those up and let those stay warm. Then you make some eggs that finally in. And then maybe warm up some flour tortillas and put it all together and have breakfast tacos and stuff. And like I said, I know it's so stereotypical and this is like the gimmicky overlander thing, but it's for me, for the stuff I like to cook, this is really cool. If it wasn't for the oven we talked about on number 4, I might not carry a regular camp stove around at all. I'm trying to anything that's not gonna get baked. I'm trying to make it. I can cook everything on here and not have to carry any other pots and pans because this is just it fits my situation. I'm not saying it's the perfect thing for everyone. I'm not saying it's going to fit everyone else's situation. But other thing is, at home, 98% of the time, we're cooking on cast iron. And you clean this pretty much the same way you clean cast iron. You take care of this pretty much the same way you take care of cast iron. So I'm already used to doing it. It's already how I take care of stuff at home. So it works. It's just another reason it works good for me in my situation. You might be completely different. You may think the whole thing's ridiculous. That's fine. I spent probably a year or two going, I can't believe idiots are buying these and cooking on them. And I'm not convinced that everyone that has them doesn't say they're great just because they paid a lot of money for them. But I didn't pay a lot of money for it. I got a really good deal on it. I paid less than half of what one of these costs now. And I still love it. Would I love it if I paid full price? I don't know. That would hurt a little bit more. But I'm still, like I said, I'm trying to move to cooking on just this. And the other stupid part, it's stupid, but I like that it's freestanding and I don't need a table to put my stove on. Or I kind of set the back of my 4-hour up with the drawer comes out and I can set the stove on the drawer. But then if I'm at camp with other people, I'm staring into the back of my rig while I'm cooking. And I'm not interacting with people and socializing and talking to my buddies that I've bothered to go camping with. Something like this, I can set it anywhere. I can face my buddies. I can interact while I'm cooking. Um, I'm not going to put on like a whole cooking show. I'm not going to sit there and be Mr. Almost Benihana chef, but it's nice to be able to talk to people while I'm maybe if I'm just cooking a burger and warming some hamburger patties up. I mean, I'm making warming up some hamburger buns. It's nice to just be able to see people and talk to them while you're doing it. All right, so that was my top 5 camp cooking, camp eating. I don't know how you want to break it up. Items. Like I said, anything from something as little as having your own set of eating utensils, like a fork and a spoon, all the way up to the crazy scuttle. It's just a weird combination of things that make eating at camp and cooking at camp that much more fun. And for me, that's part of the fun of being at camp. Is making really good food out and away from other people. And I understand not everybody cares. Some people, plenty of big name overland people I've been out with, and they want to make SpaghettiOs, and that's fine. Or they want to sit there and make a hot dog and have their root beer, and that's fine too. But I might want to make carne asada and homemade tortillas and make chilaquiles for breakfast or something. I may want to pretend I'm Marco from Overland X or Harry from Fire to Fort. That's just what's fun for me. And if it's fun for you, think about some of these things I mentioned or things like it. Better yet, if you've made it this far in a video, leave me a comment down there and tell me what is your favorite camp cooking gizmo, gadget, stove, whatever. What is it that you really like to use when you're cooking at camp or eating at camp? Either way, even if you don't like to cook at camp, what is your favorite thing to eat with at camp? I really appreciate y'all watching. If you're watching this video on YouTube, just realize we also release the audio as a podcast. You can find it wherever good podcasts are found. Just search Stormcrow Overland. If you are listening to this as a podcast, just realize we also released the video where you can see all the cool things I was just talking about. You can find it on YouTube. Just search Stormcrow Overland. You can also find us on Instagram at Stormcrow Overland. And you can send me an email at stormcrowoverland@gmail.com if you're so interested. And when it comes to all of those platforms, I would greatly appreciate a like, comment, follow, subscribe, message, anything like that. Just let me know you're out there. Let me know what you think. Uh, am I crazy for liking the scuttle? Am I some kind of crazy sellout? Am I weird because I want to make enchiladas at camp on my stove? Just stuff like that. Send me a message, leave a comment. Either way, let me know. If there's anything else you'd like to hear me talk about or like to hear my thoughts on, I'd love to hear it from you. Really kind of wraps up the video for this week. So, yeah, I think that's it. It's just sometimes you have to go out and get lost and make some really good food before you can find yourself. Thanks for watching.